Yo, it's your boy, Smoke back with a Madden video. Today's video, we're going to be doing a Ladd McConkey career simulation in Madden 25. Now, he was the second round pick, taken by the Los Angeles Chargers in the most recent draft, and he has been absolutely amazing so far in his career. Now, if you guys are interested in career sim on Brock Bowers, his Georgia teammate, a link will be in the description below. As you see right here, Ladd McConkey is already going to be wide receiver 1 on the depth chart, and he had hidden development, so that means he has star or better. Now, in the end of the 2024 season, the Los Angeles Chargers do end up making playoffs, taking on the Houston Texans in the first round, but they are eliminated with a final score of 42-28. They are the 5th seed, and they went against the 4th seed Texans and weren't able to win. In the first year of the career sim, the Chargers went 11-6. That's honestly really impressive. That basically they would have to almost win out for the rest of the season to do that in real life. Justin Herbert did pretty good. 3,938 passing yards, 27 passing touchdowns, 8 interceptions. Maybe a little bit more passing touchdowns, but still not a bad year. J.K. Dobbins did really good with 1,163 rushing yards, 14 rushing touchdowns. But we are mainly concerned about Ladd McConkey. All right, so he had 73 receptions, 1,046 yards, and 6 receiving touchdowns. That is a really good rookie year, and that would definitely help boost his overall quite a bit. Now, year 2, he is at an 82 overall, so his overall went up by 4, and he only had star development, which does kind of suck, but I feel like that will increase for sure if he keeps bringing good years to come. So, I mean, a 4 overall increase, that's pretty solid, especially after only 1 year to get 4 overalls. That is definitely helpful. So let's go and check the depth chart. He is still wide receiver 1. Not really that surprising, because he was just it last year and he did nothing but improve. So the Chargers, they finished 9-8, so they don't even make playoffs this time around, but they finished 9-8. Technically a winning record, but wasn't good enough to get a playoff appearance. So let's go ahead and check how everybody did, but mainly Ladd McConkey. So Justin Herbert, 29 passing touchdowns, 3,969 yards, and 8 interceptions. J.K. Dobbins with 1,123 yards, 18 rushing touchdowns. That's pretty surprising for J.K. Dobbins. But let's go check Ladd McConkey, 83 receptions. So that's a pretty high amount of receptions right there with 83. 1,308 yards, 12 receiving touchdowns. His longest reception was 70 yards. All right, let's go ahead and see how the Los Angeles Chargers did next year, because Ladd McConkey only improved 1 overall, and I don't want to make this video super long for you guys, but they were able to go to the second round of playoffs, and they were a 6th seed, and they beat the Houston Texans, so they were able to get their revenge on the Texans, but they're eliminated in the second round. So let's go ahead and check out the stats from this year for the whole team, but obviously Ladd McConkey. So Justin Herbert, 3,946 yards, 33 passing touchdowns, 7 interceptions. He had a passer rating of 104.3, a 65 completion percentage. So pretty solid numbers from Justin Herbert. J.K. Dobbins, 923 yards, 15 rushing touchdowns. And then Ladd McConkey with 77 receptions, 1,243 yards, 12 receiving touchdowns. I feel like that is definitely the highest amount of receiving touchdowns we've seen him do, or he at least tied his career best. So now we're at year 3, and he is now an 84 overall. So, and he got that and he has a superstar development, which is really helpful in helping a player grow. Obviously, superstar is the second best you can get. So 84 overall, he's still the best, and wide receiver 1 on the depth chart. So they are definitely going to be looking his way a lot. And in the 2027 season, the Los Angeles Chargers beat the Seattle Seahawks for the Super Bowl. So the Los Angeles Chargers are, for the first time in their franchise history, Super Bowl champions. Super Bowl MVP goes to Justin Herbert. Ladd McConkey has a Super Bowl to add to his resume. So the Los Angeles Chargers, they finished 11-6. So now we can seriously talk about Ladd McConkey being one of the all-time greats. I mean, not quite yet. Give him a few years to get his career statistics, but he's already got a Super Bowl. A lot of people can't get a Super Bowl. Randy Moss, one of the best receivers to ever play, he never even got a Super Bowl. So Justin Herbert, let's go check his stats. 4,099 yards, 33 passing touchdowns and 7 interceptions. J.K. Dobbins with 769 yards and 9 rushing touchdowns. He did have 2 fumbles, though. And it looks like there's an auto-generated guy right behind him. Ladd McConkey, he was the wide receiver 1 by far on a Super Bowl winning team. 84 receptions, 1,326 yards, 16 receiving touchdowns. So that is now the best receiving touchdowns he's ever got. So Ladd McConkey now coming into his 5th year. He has got a superstar X factor. He is now saying he is one of the best wide receivers in the game because those only one of the best get X factors in Madden's eyes. And now he's a 90 overall. So he went up 3 overalls, an 87 to a 90 now. So that is really good. 90 is definitely the tier where you start to name elite players in the NFL. So Ladd McConkey is solidifying himself as being one of the elite receivers. So 90 overall, still wide receiver 1 on the depth chart. Josh Palmer is behind him with an 82 overall. And then looks like an auto-generated guy, I believe, right behind him. So in 2028, they lose to the Buffalo Bills in the first round. The final score 23-35. Bills being the 4 seed and the Chargers being the 5th seed. So it's all right that they got knocked out of the first round. I mean, they did just win the Super Bowl. Obviously, it sucks being a first-round exit after winning the Super Bowl, but I mean, at least you got a Super Bowl. So they finished 10-7 that year, and let's go and check out the statistics. So Justin Herbert, 4,092 passing yards, 34 passing touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. This is a really good year for Justin Herbert. And might I say, Madden thinks Justin Herbert is going to be absolutely amazing. I mean, yeah, he's a great quarterback, but they are saying he's going to be one of the best, right up there with Phillip Rivers for Chargers. And let's go and check the statistics. So Ladd McConkey didn't actually lead this year. Okay, so he had 907 receiving yards and 10 receiving touchdowns with 75 receptions. Josh Palmer had 85 receptions, 986 yards. So after a year of having his X Factor, he had one kind of down year. And going into year 6, he went from an X Factor development to a superstar dev. Superstar is still really great, obviously, but I just think that's a little bit interesting. He was only able to get an X Factor for 1 year because he had one down year. I don't know. It seems a little harsh, but that is what Madden is saying, and this is a Madden career sim. So he's still wide receiver 1 on the depth charts. This time we are the 2nd seed going against the 7th. So it is 20-27. The Miami Dolphins upset the Los Angeles Chargers. So back-to-back years of being first-round exits, not really a good look. I mean, especially when you finish 13-4. I don't know how you don't have a first-round bye when you're 13-4, but I guess someone else must have did really good. Justin Herbert, again, with an amazing season. 3,712 yards, 34 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. Jahmyr Gibbs, looks like the Chargers signed him, 1,321 yards. Ladd McConkey with 70 receptions, 1,046 yards, 13 receiving touchdowns. His log on the season was 47 yards. Now entering into year 7, he's still a superstar development, and he's a 92 overall. So he only went up 1 overall, but I mean, that's still good. It's still going into year 7 and still going up overalls. That's pretty impressive because Madden is weird. They write people off once they turn 27, normally, I like to say. They normally stop developing once they're 27 in Madden's eyes. Is that 100% true in the NFL? No, but is it kind of true? Sure. Also depends on the position and the kind of player. Anyway, the Los Angeles Chargers, they are able to make it to the 2nd round, and they lose to the Tennessee Titans. They are the 2nd seed again in the 2030 playoffs, and they beat the Browns, but they lose to the Titans, like I said, 21-24 with the loss to the Titans. And that is a weird matchup. The Titans and the Broncos, in the AFC. Anyway, they finished 10-7. Again, I feel like it's a little goofy. I don't know, 10-7 could be the 2nd seed, and then the 1 year is 13-4 was the 2nd seed, but I guess that just kind of depends on how other people did in the conference. Justin Herbert, 3,999 yards, basically 4,000 yards, 29 passing touchdowns, 15 interceptions. That is not a great year for Justin Herbert at all. Maybe he's starting to show signs of regression. Jahmyr Gibbs with 1,267 yards and 7 rushing touchdowns. Justin Herbert, looks like Ladd McConkey got a little bit of rushing. He had 37 rush yards. All right, Ladd McConkey, 70 receptions, 1,090 yards, and 11 receiving touchdowns. So going into year 8, he's a 92 overall. This is the first year he doesn't actually improve it overall. So he's staying at it the same overall, and he went down to star development. So maybe the age is starting to show a little bit, but I feel like the production is not. I mean, so far his production's been pretty good, and hopefully I don't jinx him, but he's still the wide receiver 1. It looks like they brought in a new wide receiver 2. I feel like the Chargers should really bring in another solid wide receiver 2, considering that's a pretty big drop-off, 92 to 79. Anyway, in the 2031 season, the Los Angeles Chargers finished 7-10. Let's go ahead and check the statistics. Justin Herbert, 19 passing touchdowns, 11 interceptions, 3,836 yards, 69 completion percentage, and a rating of 94.7. Jahmyr Gibbs with 1,252 rushing yards, 11 rushing touchdowns, and only 1 fumble. Troy Franklin was the leader, and I don't see Ladd McConkey anywhere. Troy Franklin, 964 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. I feel like Ladd McConkey might have gotten injured. As you can see right there, there's an auto-generated guy. Ladd McConkey, all right, 45 receptions, 595 yards, and 4 receiving touchdowns. But if you go over to the downs played, it's significantly worse than the tight end and Troy Franklin. So looks like Ladd McConkey suffered an injury in year 8. I don't know what kind of injury, since I'm not on the Chargers. It really didn't give me the injury report. And since the end of the season, I had trouble finding it. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say Ladd McConkey definitely got injured, because that is too big of a number to say it wasn't. And then going into year 9, Ladd McConkey is a 90 overall. So this is the first year we start to see Ladd McConkey actually lose overall. So now he lost 2 overalls, and he is still a star development. But star development, I mean, he was just superstar 2 years ago. Still the wide receiver 1 by quite a few overall. But I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a little harsh. I mean, he was just injured, so I don't know why they're making him lose overall. Anyway, the 2033 season, the Los Angeles Chargers finished 7-10. And I'm kind of shocked, because look at their overall. They're 86, 85, or 86, 87, and 86. That is a good overall. Justin Herbert, yeah, I feel like Justin Herbert is definitely getting ready to retire. 3,753 yards, 22 passing touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Jahmyr Gibbs with only 766 yards and 13 rushing touchdowns. At least he got 13 rushing touchdowns. Ladd McConkey still put up a pretty solid season. 70 receptions, 1,021 yards, and 10 receiving touchdowns. So, pretty good year for Ladd McConkey, even though he lost overall. And again, he's losing overall. So now he just lost 3 overall he lost 3 overall from last year. So he was a 90, now he's an 87, still star development. And we checked the depth chart, he is still wide receiver 1, but this is probably the closest gap we've seen, a 5 overall gap. I feel like that is the closest we've seen so far in this career simulation. The wide receiver 2 at 8. He is an 82 overall, and Ladd McConkey at 87. So the 2034 season, the Los Angeles Chargers, they only finished 4-13. I definitely feel like this has a lot to do with Justin Herbert. So far, he's been a career great for the Los Angeles Chargers, but he is starting to regress badly. Oh, it looks like they don't even have Justin Herbert anymore. Or they do, but he's now a backup. It looks like a young QB, Henry Johnson, he didn't do too great, because he had 20 passing touchdowns and 27 interceptions. Kevin Baptiste looks like an auto-generated guy, 674 yards. Ladd McConkey still the best receiver on the team, putting up the best production, 68 receptions, 1,069 yards, and 11 receiving touchdowns, a log of 75 receptions. He averaged 62 receiving yards a game. Now we're in year 11. Okay, so now this is seriously starting to regress. He went from an 87 to an 83. He lost 4 overall points, and now he's up to normal development. This is the first time he has ever had normal development in his career. It's always been star or better, and he is no longer the wide receiver 1. He's now the wide receiver 2. I understand age comes into a factor, but he's just coming off a 70 reception season with over 1,021 yards and 10 receiving touchdowns. So the Los Angeles Chargers, they were the first seed So maybe the Chargers are back to being great when they won that Super Bowl with Justin Herbert. But anyway, they only put up 11 points in the second round and lose to the Jacksonville Jaguars. Obviously, I don't know if you guys remember, but that was a pretty interesting match when those two faced off in the wild card. I think it was around 2 years ago. They finished 11-6, and they have an 86 overall team. So let's go and check how Henry Johnson did, the new quarterback. But more importantly, Ladd McConkey, obviously. 3,364 yards. Kevin Baptiste is 739 yards. So let's go and check Ladd McConkey, though. I'm rushing through this because we are starting to get to the end, and Ladd McConkey, it looks like he's starting to really become washed. I mean, he only had 525 yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. So, I mean, that is a pretty crazy drop off if you ask me, because this guy just had over 1,000 receiving yards. So looks like age doesn't really hit him fast, but it just hits him out of nowhere, then hits him fast. And Ladd McConkey, he is actually going to retire after year 12. So he has done 12 years. He stayed with the same team his whole career. He stayed with the Los Angeles Chargers, so I'm sure Chargers fans are going to love that. He's going to be an absolute all-time great in Madden's eyes for the Los Angeles Chargers, one of the franchise best, if not the best. So let's go ahead and check out all his career statistics. So here it is right here. This is his career stats, but we're going to more importantly check all the franchise stats. But before we do that, we need to check his accomplishments. So he got 2 Pro Bowl appearances. Okay, I was interested to see how many Pro Bowls he had. Realistically, he should have had more. At least 4 or 5, if I'm making like just a guess. He should have had 4 or 5 looking at some of the years he had. But let's go and check his franchise leaders. Obviously, he wasn't good enough to break any all-time stats for the NFL in general, but let's go and check franchise records. So Ladd McConkey actually holds the record for most touchdown catches, so the most receiving touchdowns, and the most receiving yards as a Los Angeles Chargers. So that's pretty shocking to me, especially because I thought Antonio Gates would have held the receiving touchdowns, because I feel like, I don't think he has it anymore, but I know he used to have the most receiving touchdowns for a tight end. So I'm kind of shocked he doesn't have that, but still 2 very important stats or records that he holds for the Los Angeles Chargers. Let's go and take a look at his career stats. So he did 12 years in the NFL, 832 receptions, 12,333 receiving yards, and 119 receiving touchdowns. His highest overall was a 92, with 7 playoff appearances and 1 Super Bowl. Let's look at his career achievements now. He's a 2-time Pro Bowler. Realistically, should have been more, but I guess that's just Madden being Madden. And he is the Chargers receiving yard leader and the Chargers receiving touchdown leader. So, guys, normally when we do this career sims, at the end we ask you guys if this guy is a Hall of Famer. But this, obviously, I mean, this is a Hall of Fame resume. Definitely Chargers Hall of Fame for sure, and then regular Hall of Fame. I mean, a Super Bowl, 2 Pro Bowl appearances, holding 2 important franchise records. I feel like it'd be impressive if he was even 3rd or 4th on the Chargers list, but the fact that he even holds the Chargers record is even more impressive to me. So definitely in Madden, he is an absolute Hall of Famer and a Chargers all-time great, winning a Super Bowl, something the Chargers have not been able to do. But how do you guys think Ladd McConkey will do in real life? Because obviously Madden isn't always 100% correct. So go ahead and comment down below how you guys think Ladd McConkey will do in real life. Obviously, he's doing really good. Like I said, if you guys are interested in watching a career sim of his Georgia teammate, Brock Bowers, a link will be in the description below. Let me know how you guys think Ladd McConkey will do.